I wasn't looking for anything that morning. Not praise, not affection. I was just trying to get through the day, to keep the machine of this house running without complaint. The laundry basket was heavy against my hip, warm towels pressing into my side as I passed the hallway. That was my rhythm, quiet, steady, invisible. The kind of man who fills in the blanks others leave behind. I heard his voice before I saw him. Trevor. He was talking to Haley. She had her bedroom door half open. They were sitting cross-legged on her floor, teenage secrets trading hands like contraband. I should have kept walking. I should have let it pass like all the other moments I've swallowed over the years. But I didn't. He's not our dad, Trevor said. We don't have to listen to him. Stepdads are just background noise. He laughed after he said it. Not loudly, not cruelly, just casually, like it was obvious. Like it was a universal truth carved into the walls of every teenager's bedroom. Background noise. That phrase dug its nails into me and didn't let go. I froze in the hallway. 1 foot on the carpet. 1 foot on the tile. My fingers gripped the side of the basket so tightly my knuckles ached. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, suspended in the space between their voices and my silence. I think something cracked in me right then. A small, precise break, like the first fault line before a quake. I didn't cry. I didn't lash out. I just stopped. A man can only carry so much before the weight turns to dust. For years, I had been the scaffolding they leaned on. The one who stayed when their real father didn't. The one who paid for the things that made them feel normal: uniforms, school trips, phone plans, birthday parties. I was the reason the lights turned on and the fridge stayed full. The reason the house didn't rot at the edges. The reason they could pretend to their friends that their family was whole. But that morning in the hallway, I saw it for what it was. To them, I was a convenience, a wallet, a driver, a ghost with a credit limit. That evening, I told Kelly. I waited until the kids were upstairs, earbuds in, doors shut. She was cleaning up the dishes, sleeves rolled up, shoulders hunched from the long day. I stood at the counter, arms crossed, trying to find a way to say it that didn't sound pathetic. Trevor said something. I began. My voice felt brittle in my mouth. She didn't look up. What now? He told Haley I'm not their dad, that they don't have to listen to me, said I'm just background noise. Her hands paused in the water, but only for a second. She kept washing. A plate, a fork, a glass. She sighed, that long, exhausted kind of sigh that means, don't make this a thing. They're teenagers, she said. It'll pass. That was it. No defense. No anger. No correction shouted up the stairs. Just that lazy shrug of dismissal. As if my pain was a passing weather system, not a truth cutting down into the bone. They're teenagers, she said. But what she meant was, don't expect more. Don't expect fairness. Just keep doing what you do and stay out of the way. I stood there for a while, watching the water swirl down the drain. Watching her rinse away the mess like it never happened. That was the night I made my decision. Quietly, internally. The same way I've made every decision in this house, alone. I told her, flatly, if they won't follow step-parent rules, I won't keep providing step-parent resources. She turned then, eyes narrowing just slightly. What does that mean? It means I'll keep them safe. I'll make sure they eat. But the extras, that's on you. On them. On their real dad. I'm not paying to be disrespected. Her mouth opened like she was going to argue. But she didn't. She closed it. She looked at the floor. That was all the confirmation I needed. There was no pushback because deep down, she knew I was right. I went to the garage that night, opened the drawer with all the bills and receipts, pulled out the folders I hadn't touched in months. Sports team dues, cell phone plans, car insurance policies, streaming service logins, club registrations, field trip waivers. Each line item had my name on it, my signature, my money. Every single part of their joy, their comfort, had passed through my hands first. And not once had they said thank you. Not once had they treated me like anything more than the man who happened to be married to their mother. I started making a list. What stays? What goes? Groceries, stay. I wouldn't starve them. Utilities. Stay. I'm not a monster. Roof over their heads. Of course. But everything else? Optional. Netflix. Spotify. Gone. Trevor's car insurance? Cancelled. He wanted freedom without rules, now he could walk. Haley's dance lessons? Unpaid. Let her real father foot that bill. Let him miss a shift. Feel the sting. I wasn't being petty. I wasn't even angry. I was done pretending. Done pretending I was something I wasn't, their father. Because fatherhood, as I'd come to learn, was a contract. Unspoken maybe, but real. A contract built on mutual respect, on presence, on effort. And if they weren't willing to uphold their end, then I was under no obligation to keep holding mine. I went to bed early that night. Didn't wait for Kelly. Didn't say goodnight to the kids. And as I lay there, eyes wide open in the dark, I thought about every time I'd driven Trevor to school on days his mom couldn't. Every time I'd left work early to pick Haley up from a rehearsal. Every birthday cake I'd paid for. Every holiday I'd tried to make magical, while their father sent nothing more than a text, if even that. I remembered the time Haley got sick and it was me holding her hair back in the bathroom. The time Trevor needed someone to talk to about college applications and it was me, not his dad, reading over the essays late at night. All of it now reduced to background noise. I thought about how many men would have walked away years ago. How many would have seen the writing on the wall and spared themselves the slow humiliation. But not me. I stayed. I tried. I endured. Because I believed that love could be earned. That trust could be built, brick by brick, even on soil that didn't belong to you. But some houses collapse no matter how carefully you build them. Some families refuse to be carried. And in that darkness, with the ceiling fan spinning above me, I made peace with the fact that I had loved a family that never intended to love me back. The next morning, I brewed coffee for myself and no one else. I didn't make the kids' lunches. I didn't remind Trevor about his driving test. I didn't text Haley a reminder about her club meeting. I sat at the kitchen table, sipping slowly, watching the sun climb through the window. And for the first time in years, I felt something close to clarity. They had made their position clear. Now it was my turn. The silence was delicious, not peaceful, not calm, but sharp, deliberate, the kind of silence that follows a verdict. I didn't slam doors. I didn't raise my voice. I simply followed through. Line by line, service by service. Cut. Downgraded. Cancelled. The car insurance was first. Trevor found out when he tried to drive to a friend's house and his phone lit up with a policy cancellation notice. I watched him read it at the kitchen counter. His eyebrows pulled together, then shot up. He looked at me like I just unplugged his lungs. "What the hell is this?" he said. "Ask your mother," I replied. Then I finished my toast. He waited for Kelly to come downstairs, then stormed toward her with the notification pulled up. His voice rose. I heard her say, "You'll have to talk to James." "I don't know." And for once, I didn't intervene. The next blow was subtler. Spotify stopped working mid-song. Netflix wanted a password. Haley called from her bedroom, confused. "Is the Wi-Fi down?" "No," I called back. "You'll have to use the basic plan now." I canceled the premium. She came down, hair a mess, face scrunched in frustration. "Why?" "Background noise doesn't fund premium subscriptions," I said, sipping my coffee. She stared at me, her lips parted, as if she was about to say something, maybe even apologize. But then she just rolled her eyes and walked away. I didn't flinch. I didn't chase her. One by one, the extras fell away. Field trips went unpaid. Club dues lapsed. Trevor got an email from his auto insurance provider. Overdue balance. I didn't hide the fact that I'd stopped paying. I left the accounts open in my name. Let them see what real responsibility looked like. Let them see the gap that forms when the man they dismiss stops showing up. At first, they didn't understand. They thought I was bluffing. They muttered about how unfair it was. Kelly gave me the look, the one that asked me silently to reconsider, to go easy, to forgive teenage mouths that hadn't caught up with their brains. But I'd forgiven too much already. By the second week, the tone changed. The house grew quieter, less entitled, less smug. They still didn't speak to me much, old habits die hard, but I noticed the shift. Trevor asked his mom if she could cover gas money. She hesitated, then said no. Haley told Kelly she needed a new sketchbook for art class. Kelly looked at the grocery receipt and said, "Not this week." They had grown used to abundance. Now they were meeting the absence. Then the night came, the one I'll never forget. It was late, past midnight. I was in bed, half asleep, the hum of the ceiling fan dulling my thoughts. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number. For a moment I considered ignoring it, but something in my chest twisted. I answered. "James?" It was Haley. Her voice was small. "Wrecked. I need help," she whispered. "Please." I was out of bed before she finished the sentence. No hesitation. No conditions. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys and left. The house was dark as I moved through it. Kelly stirred but didn't wake. I didn't bother telling her. The address she gave me was across town. A house I didn't recognize. Music still thumped from inside, muffled by walls and distance. Lights flickered through the windows, too bright, too fast. I found her in the kitchen. She was standing in a corner, arms wrapped around herself like a coat she didn't own. Her hair was tangled. Her mascara had run. She looked like a child pretending to be something older, something braver. She saw me, and her shoulders collapsed. I didn't say a word. I just led her out the front door and opened the car door. She got in without a fight. The drive home was silent until she broke. "I thought it'd be fun," she said, voice cracking. "Just a party." I nodded. "There were people there I didn't know," she went on. "They kept handing me drinks. I didn't even—" Her voice disappeared. I kept driving. "I tried calling Mom," she said, almost apologetically. She didn't answer. I didn't know who else to call. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Dad's number's disconnected," she added. Then, after a pause, "But I knew you'd come." That sentence lodged in my ribs like a dull blade. "You said you weren't a parent anymore. But I knew you'd come." I didn't respond. Not then. I didn't want to cry. I didn't want her to see how much it hurt to be the fallback. The safety net for a child who once looked through me like glass. When we got home, I walked her to her room. She hugged me before she went in. Small, trembling, real. The kind of hug you remember in the dark months later. I stood in the hallway for a long time after her door closed, staring at the carpet. There it was, the first crack in the wall. The next day she was different. Not dramatically, but present. She lingered near me in the kitchen, asking small questions. Showed me a few pages from her sketchbook. Asked if I liked the shading on a charcoal drawing. I said I did. Trevor noticed. You could see it in the way he narrowed his eyes. The way he hovered when Haley and I shared even a moment of quiet ease. He didn't say much. But a few days later, he asked if I could help him look over his resume. Not with gratitude. Not with softness. Just necessity. But he asked. And I said yes. I didn't gloat. I didn't mention the past. I just pointed out the grammar mistakes, showed him how to reformat it. He nodded. Said thanks. Small, broken things. The car stayed uninsured. The streaming accounts stayed canceled. But something new started forming. Not love, not trust, but the beginnings of accountability. And still, Kelly stayed silent. She saw it all. Haley's shift. Trevor's slow unraveling. My stillness. My withdrawal. We barely spoke at night. Just moved around each other, two ghosts renting the same bed. Sometimes I caught her watching me, like she wanted to ask something, or confess, but she never did. That was her betrayal, not what she said, but what she refused to say. She let her children stand over me for years, thinking silence made her neutral. But silence is a side, and she'd already chosen it. So I stayed quiet too. It wasn't a moment of rage. Not some dramatic blow-up around the dinner table. Came like all the big things do, slow, quiet, inevitable. Like erosion. Like gravity finally winning. I sat down at the dining table one Sunday morning. I placed 2 folders on the wood. Neat, precise. One marked James. The other marked biological dad. I'd spent the previous night organizing them, line by line, receipt by receipt. Tuition, phones, sports camps, braces, car repairs, groceries, birthdays, late-night takeout, forgotten field trips, last-minute emergencies. 3 years of sacrifice. Down to the cent. Kelly watched me from the kitchen. She didn't ask what I was doing. I think she knew. I called the kids down. Not with anger. Just a flat, firm tone. They came eventually. Trevor first, slow, dragging his feet like it was beneath him. Haley behind him, quiet, uncertain. I didn't ask them to sit. I told them. When they were seated, I opened the first folder. This, I said, is everything I've paid for in the last 3 years. Trevor rolled his eyes. Seriously. I ignored him. I began reading, line by line, every cost, every forgotten favor, every invisible burden. You like your car, Trevor? That insurance you don't think about? That was me. The tires last winter? Me. You remember when the radiator failed and you called me after school? That bill was $780. Paid the same day. He said nothing. I turned to Haley. Your sketchbooks, your iPad, the art software, the summer program at the gallery. You cried when you got accepted. You remember who wrote the check? That was me. I kept going. Kelly sat at the head of the table, saying nothing, her lips drawn tight. Not a word of defense. Not a word of acknowledgement. Then I opened the second folder. This, I said, tapping it, is everything your real father paid in the same amount of time. I flipped through it. Fast. Loud. 10 sheets total. Most were blank. One was a $200 Venmo for Haley's birthday. Another was a $50 contribution to Trevor's soccer camp, labeled, if needed. Nothing else. No receipts. No consistency. No presence. Silence. I looked them in the eye one after the other. I don't want gratitude, I said. I never did. But I want truth. You've treated me like I'm optional. Like I'm a stranger who just happens to be nearby. You've made it clear I'm not your father. I accept that. But starting today, you'll stop living like I am, unless you're ready to live by what that really means. Trevor scoffed. This is a guilt trip. No, I said coldly. This is accounting. Haley looked down. Her fingers picked at the edge of the table. I didn't know it was that much. No, I said again, softer. You didn't want to know. I turned to Kelly. You've known. She didn't deny it. They're teenagers, she said finally. They don't understand money yet. They understand disrespect, I replied. They've perfected it. Something shifted in her then. Her back straightened. Her voice firmed. They'll understand this, she said, because I'm done covering for them. That surprised me. The room felt heavier. Trevor stared at her, confused. Haley sat motionless, as if she was afraid to breathe. Kelly looked at them both. If you want what James provides, she said, you treat him like he matters. You don't get to cherry-pick authority. You don't get the perks of having a man like this in your life while acting like he's invisible. She stood up, walked to the fridge, pinned the 2 folders on the corkboard, like trophies, like a warning. Trevor looked like he'd swallowed glass. Haley whispered, okay, that was the beginning. Nothing changed overnight. Trevor didn't suddenly become a different person. He still had his tone, still muttered under his breath sometimes. But he stopped being openly hostile. He asked before borrowing the car. He washed his own dishes. He started making his bed. Not because I told him, but because he didn't want to hear me ask. Haley came faster. She began lingering when I made coffee, asked what I thought of her drawings, left her headphones off at the table. One afternoon, she sat beside me and asked if I remembered that party. The one she called me from. I nodded. She didn't say anything else. Just sat there. But she didn't have to. That moment told me everything. Trevor took longer. He was slower to admit he needed anything. He still called his dad sometimes, hoping for answers that never came. But when the car needed a new battery, he asked if I could show him how to replace it. Not do it for him. Teach him. So I did. No lectures. No resentment. Just instruction. I stood by the hood, handing him the tools. Let him struggle with the bolts. He cursed under his breath. I waited. When he finally got the new battery in place, he looked up at me. "Thanks," he said. Not loud. Not begrudging. Real. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't healing. But it was real. And that was enough. I didn't go back to paying for everything. The folders stayed on the board. The privileges stayed tied to behavior. They understood that now. Even Kelly backed it. Not because she feared I'd leave, but because she finally saw how close I'd come. The next time Trevor's dad called, months later, it was a birthday check. $50. He told Trevor he couldn't swing more because of tough times. Trevor didn't tell me. I overheard it. He was in the living room, quiet, calm. He hung up the phone and didn't curse. Just sat there, staring at the carpet. Later that week, he helped Haley with her homework. Unprompted. Small things. We weren't a family, not in the way people dream about it. But we were honest now. Boundaries had built something firmer than love, respect. Earned, not assumed. Mutual, not begged for. And that was the beginning of something I could live with. There's a rhythm now. A silence that doesn't wound. A quiet that doesn't accuse. I wake up earlier than anyone. Always have. The house breathes softly at that hour. Floors creak without weight. Faucets hum without rush. I drink my coffee alone. No one expects anything from me before sunrise. No one takes. No one talks. It's my hour. The folder is still on the board. Both of them. Trevor's friends once saw it and asked what it was. He told them, just receipts. That was it. No defensiveness. No sarcasm. Just acknowledgement. I heard it from the hallway. The boy who once called me background noise now uses my tools to fix his car. He double-checks oil levels, replaces wipers, vacuums out the interior like it matters. I never told him to, never asked, just left the garage unlocked. One Saturday, I found a post-it on my workbench. Said, "Thanks for the ratchet set. Worked perfectly. T." He still doesn't say much to me in front of others. But he doesn't walk away either. Doesn't scowl when I enter the room. He even started calling me James. Not hey or you, but a name. Mine. Progress isn't loud. It's subtle. It's Trevor offering to carry groceries in without being asked. Haley cleaning the bathroom and leaving the fan running so it dries properly. Kelly pouring me a second cup of coffee before pouring her own. It's in the pauses, the glances, the absence of resistance. I don't demand dad. I never will. That title belongs to someone else. Someone who drifted through holidays with wrapped boxes and empty promises. Someone whose name still shows up in their contacts list. Even if it always rings through to voicemail. They still love him. I've made peace with that. But love isn't the same as trust. And over time, even they've started to notice the difference. The other week, Haley asked if she could use my computer to apply for an art mentorship. She sat beside me, navigating the application slowly. She asked me to proofread her answers. At the end, she looked at me. Really looked. "Do you think I'll get it?" she asked. "You've got a shot," I said. She smiled. Not a fake one. Not a performative smirk. A small, uncertain thing. And then she reached for my arm. Not long. Just a second. "You helped," she said. "Thanks." She didn't say dad. But that felt close enough. Trevor's been working part-time. He pays his own gas now. Sometimes, when his paycheck hits, he picks up dinner. Small meals, nothing fancy, but he always leaves the receipt on the fridge with a sticky note. Got it this time. The first time he did that, I stood there for 10 minutes staring at it. It wasn't the money. It was the message underneath. "I see you. I'm trying." That's all I ever wanted. Not obedience. Not devotion. Just recognition. Kelly's been quieter lately. More deliberate. She watches the kids interact with me now, not just as their buffer, but as a witness. I think she knows what she almost lost. I think she sees it in the way Trevor now knocks before entering my office, or the way Haley lingers when I'm fixing something, asking questions about things she once ignored. Sometimes, Kelly apologizes without words. She'll fold my laundry without saying a thing. She'll cook something I mentioned offhand weeks ago. She doesn't try to explain the past anymore. And I don't ask her to, because we both know what it was. She thought love would be enough. That presence would naturally turn into acceptance. That stepfathers earned their place by waiting in the rain, rather than walking away from it. But the truth is simpler, blunter. You teach people how to treat you. And for years I taught this family that I was optional. That I would show up no matter what they said. That they could humiliate me, ignore me, mock me, and I would still keep paying the bill. I stopped teaching that lesson. Now I teach something else. That boundaries aren't punishment. That money is not unconditional. That love without respect is just servitude. I still provide, but selectively. Trevor's insurance is back. But only after he brought it up himself and offered to cover a third. He made a spreadsheet to track his costs. I didn't ask him to. Haley's art supplies come from a shared account now. She has a part-time tutoring job. When she wants a new pen set or app, she texts me and waits for a yes. They're learning, not because I forced them to, but because I let them face the void. I stopped softening the world for them. I let the discomfort grow loud. And they discovered what I already knew. A stepfather without boundaries is just tech support for a system he's not allowed to manage. You don't get blamed when things go wrong. You don't get credit when they go right. You exist to make the invisible work stay invisible. Until you stop. Until the apps stop working and the rides don't show up and the fridge gets emptier. Until the man they never thanked doesn't answer the phone. Only then do they look around and ask, where did he go? And by then, if they're lucky, it's not too late. For us, it wasn't too late. Barely. But there are no illusions anymore. I'm not their father. I don't want to be. I'm their consequence. I'm the line. The stopgap that became a boundary. The man who was almost erased, and then decided he wouldn't be. Our home is quieter now. But it's real. They don't talk over me at dinner. They ask if I need help when I'm repairing something. When Haley goes out, she texts me too. Not just her mom. It's not affection. It's not sentiment. It's acknowledgement. And that's enough. The house still carries the memory of what we were. The silence still hums with the echoes of my old desperation. The dinners I cooked that no one thanked me for. The gifts I bought that were treated like obligations. But those are just ghosts now. Quiet ones. And the living have learned. Trevor once said stepdads are just background noise. I used to believe that. I let it sink into my bones. I wore it like a second skin. But not anymore. Now I know background noise only exists if someone else is making the music. And I stopped playing their tune. So here we are. Not broken. Not healed. Just aware. They no longer treat me like I owe them. And I no longer give without clarity. It's not the family I imagined. But it's honest. And in a world built on delusion, that's a kind of peace. Now I leave you with the question that haunts me still. Was I wrong? Was I cruel to draw that line, to let them feel the weight of their own dismissal? Or was it the only way left to protect what was left of me? You tell me, because when the day ends, and the dishes are washed, and the folders still hang by the fridge like quiet ledgers of a man's endurance, one truth remains. You can't be a father to a house that treats you like a guest.